So hi everyone, if you're living with ME/CFS, long COVID, fibromyalgia, POTS and related conditions, and you feel like the idea of recovery makes no sense, then this video is for you. Maybe 1 week you feel like you've got a little more energy, the next week you crash and you think, I'm back to square one, I must be doing something wrong. But something has become clear to me on talking to many people. Most people aren't getting it wrong. They're just in a different phase of recovery than they think. And they're just not using the right tools at the right time. So in this live, I'm going to talk through the 4 phases of illness and recovery that I see over and over again. By the end, you'll be able to recognize which phase you are in mainly right now. You'll understand why you might be jumping between those phases. You'll know what to focus on in your current phase so you can let go of the rest for now. So if you're joining me live, do say hello in the chat. Let me know where you are in the world. If you're watching the replay, let me know where you are in the world and say #replay. So I hear people say, oh, I've done some mind-body practice, I've done somatic practices, but I'm still not better. Stay with me. This will help you make sense of where you are right now rather than blaming yourself. So let's start with this important idea. This is not your identity. This is the state you're currently in. So you can move between states, sometimes in the same week, sometimes in the same day. That doesn't mean you've failed. It just means that your nervous system is adjusting. So Dorothy, Lynn says hi in Lancaster. Hi Lynn, nice to have you with me. So, and I see there's other people, so feel free to say hi. Let me know where you are in the world. So let's talk about these phases. I made some slides to just help. So the first stage or the first phase is stabilization. This is when your capacity is low. So it might be that you're bedbound or housebound. You're experiencing extreme fatigue, sensory overload. You experience symptoms with minimal effort. You experience brain fog, fear, shutdown. And the body feels unsafe almost all of the time. Let me know if any of those relate. Are you in that phase where you're bedbound or housebound? Just let me know in the chat. Maybe put a 1 in the chat for that phase 1. So what can help here? Number 1 is safety. Okay, it's important to cultivate safety, not to be over focusing on progress. I really wish when I got sick that someone had sat down and said to me, number 1, look, you are going to recover, okay? But at the moment, you just need to let go, allow your body to do its thing, okay? So it's important to do practice to help soothe your nervous system. Might be important to reduce stimulation, and this is for now, okay? And to use tools that require no effort or minimal effort. So there was a time when I had had so little energy, I couldn't even meditate. I couldn't even think a word. And so all I could do was just focus on my breath, just noticing the movement of my body. You might practice or do a brief orienting practice. Orienting is where you just look around the room and just focus on an object. I can see a picture. I'm looking at the different colours. I look at a plant. So you just focus on things for a moment. And you can do this for a short period of time. You could just do it for 1 minute if that feels appropriate. There were times when I didn't have the energy to open my eyes. So then I would just focus on the breathing. As I say, reassurance is important here. And I've created a method called the See It method, where you do little check-ins. And if you'd like access to that training, which is basically week 1 of my Building Resilience course, just write the word see in the chat. And I will actually put the link to the Facebook group where you can find those videos. below this video after we finish. So do check back, because sometimes your messages don't show up. Sarah is saying hi from Sheffield. Nice to have you with us, Sarah. And it might be at this stage you need help. So if you recognise you're not very good at asking for help, now is an opportunity to practice asking for help, okay? If you're mostly here, can you give yourself permission for your main job to be feeling safer, not better for now? Let me know if you're in that phase at any point, whether you're committed to doing that, just focusing on safety rather than kind of healing and recovery in that moment, okay? So phase 2, let's talk about that. So phase 2 is regulation. You might feel tired and wide. You might have some capacity, but it is fickle, it is unstable. So what does this look like? This looks like energy that comes and goes, boom and bust cycles. Let me know if that's something you do. Put BB if you recognise you tend to boom and bust. That was definitely me. All right. There may be some anxiety, adrenaline, overthinking. Okay. You have that sense that you can do more, but you crash easily. Feels like your battery is kind of very unstable. You feel like you've got a bit of energy, but you can use that energy up very quickly. So what helps here? Number 1, to recognise the patterns. In today's Building Resilience course that I'm rolling out at the moment, it's a 12-week course, we focused on identifying the patterns that are keeping us stuck. All right. One of them is boom and bust. So do let me know, is that something you recognise? You tend to get a bit of energy, then you tend to go for it. Oh, I'll get all the stuff done I've been wanting to get done. You go too much and then you experience strong symptoms. Okay. And the boom and bust cycle can keep us stuck. I have made a video on beating the boom and bust cycle. I will again put the link below this video. Do check it. Do a search on my YouTube channel. You'll find it. So Marilyn says, hi, BB. Yeah, hi. And Helen says BB as well. So thanks for letting me know. Certainly that was something I did, all right, for a long time. So what helps here? Pattern recognition. Learning limits before hitting them. So the see it method that I described can actually help with that, as can having an understanding of the boom and bust pattern. So do check out the boom and bust video. If you'd like the free training for the see it method, which is a really useful method to help us get to know those parts of us that do behaviors that can get in the way of healing and recovery, then comment C below, and do check out the links underneath the video after we finish, okay? Because I'll post the link there, okay? So gentle structure. You know, as someone who wasn't really very good at structure, I recognised I did need to have some structures and rhythms at this stage. I needed to pause, to tune in, to check in what was going on emotionally. And the way I did that was by stopping, by sitting down or lying down and just really tuning into my body. We need to do emotional processing, because resting is not necessarily resting if you're lying in bed stressing. And that's what I was doing. Again, if you recognise that that's something you do, lying in bed stressing, just put an S in the chat, okay? So, and the see it method will help you with the emotional processing. And then the next strategy is confidence-based micro exposures. So I'll give you an example of that. I had a client who wasn't leaving the house, and she was a bit agoraphobic as well as having CFS. And she started by just opening the front door. When she felt ready, she just stepped out onto the mat. When she felt ready, she walked to the gate, then to the first lamppost, the second lamppost, the third lamppost, and she got back to life. She got back to doing all the things she loved doing, going out, going to theatre, going to comedy, going and seeing her beloved football team. And a while after we worked together, she sent me a message on Twitter saying, I'm in Ireland, okay? So, but she started small, all right? And as well as learning limits before hitting them, it's important to develop your skills for stopping earlier. Okay, before you use up all your energy. Who needs that skill? Let me know. Because here's the thing: if your nervous system is in a state of dysregulation, then it's useful just to employ this strategy whilst you work on getting your system into nervous system regulation. I remember a client saying, I did kind of overdo it, but actually I was completely relaxed about it. And her sense was that relaxation actually helped her recover more quickly. So the more that we can approach activity with relaxation means that we can build our capacity. So if this is you, can you see how chasing expansion, pushing right now might be keeping you stuck, and how focusing on a gentle approach, focusing on stability could be real progress. So phase 3, let's talk about that. And I see more people have joined, so do feel free to say hello in the chat and let me know where you are in the world. So phase 3 is reconditioning. This is about recovering capacity. So the energy is growing, can still be a bit fickle, but what it looks like is that we have more consistency, we have fewer crashes. We come out of the crashes more quickly. Instead of using the word crash, I tend to use the word symptoms. We experience those strong symptoms, okay, and we come out of them more quickly. We start to shift from fear of relapse to less fear and more trust in our body. Now, it might be the old habits resurface under stress. So what can help here is that gentle, gradual expansion. Brain rehearsal. So getting ourselves into a resourceful state before we do activity. Okay? Doing work around your identity, challenging the identity of I'm a sick person. I'm someone who's just dealing with a health challenge. I'm dealing with a dysregulated nervous system. My health and energy is waiting to come out, and it will come out as I regulate my nervous system more and more. Okay. We can also focus on increasing confidence by doing the reps. So I had a client who wanted to go to a cafe and meet a friend, and what she did is, let's say that was step 5. She considered how she might approach things in a step-by-step way to increase her confidence. So step 1 might just be sitting in the car and doing that a few times. And then when she felt ready, having a little drive in the car. Step 2. Step 3, driving to the cafe and then coming home. Step 4, maybe driving to the cafe, having a coffee on her own in the cafe, driving home. Step 5, going to the cafe with her friend. And by doing that, at each stage, the goal was just to feel 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 confident, okay? Rather than going straight to step 5, where she might have felt 1 or 2 confident and then be stressing, which is actually just going to be counterproductive. So, if this sounds like you, notice, are you still living like you're in phase 1, even though your capacity has started to grow? This is important because I've worked with people and they haven't realized that their capacity has improved because they haven't gently tested it. So they're still behaving with the mindset of, I'm in phase 1, I need to approach things like this, whereas actually their body has got more capacity. All right. So as I say, we can do gentle experiments. So let me know if that makes sense. And is that something you're doing? Do you tend to do those gentle experiments, or do you tend to go for it and then you experience payback? And one of the things, so Helen says yes. One of the things I was talking about earlier today in the Building Resilience course is there might be times where we choose to go for it. And if we do that, then it's important to chill out, relax, and focus on the enjoyment that you had rather than focusing on your symptoms. And when I ask people that, how often do you do that? Focus on the enjoyment rather than on the symptoms. And people usually often say, never, up until now. All right. And that's what I did. One time I went clubbing, and I went clubbing because I was doing CBT, and the psychologist said, what is something that you'd love to do that you feel you can't do? And I said, clubbing. She said, well, what if you rested for a couple of days, rested on the day, spent the whole day just chilling out, and then go to the club for a few hours and then rest afterwards? And that's what I did. And I probably was generating quite a lot of stress about doing it, but I went and I had a great time. And I was experiencing symptoms afterwards, but I was lying in bed with a big smile on my face because I'd had so much fun. I'd met all these people, had a really great time. All right. So, phase 4. Let's just talk about that. Integration. This is where symptoms are minimal or manageable. What it feels like is that life is mostly full up again. You may have the occasional flare up, but there's less symptom focus. There's more future orientation. There's more trust in your body. Okay, so what helps here? Meaning, purpose, values. Having a sense of, what your mission is. Okay, having a sustainable lifestyle design. Okay, it's life by design rather than reaction. Okay, setting boundaries that protect energy. I've talked about this recently, but I remember a couple of years ago I had flu-like symptoms, and it kind of lingered, but I just had total trust that my body just needed to do its thing and I needed to support it. And there came a point when I was ready to go out, and I just went for an hour and a half, and then this little voice said, it's time to come home now. And I listened to that voice, whereas in the past I would have said, no, I'll keep going, I'll use brain training. I listened to my body, and it was really nice to nurture myself in that way. And I got to bed still feeling good rather than feeling frazzled because I'd overdone it. Okay, and had all this mental turmoil going on. I'll stay longer, but inside I'm going, ooh. All right. So we want to continually practice nervous system hygiene, listening to our system and responding accordingly. Because when we listen to our body and take appropriate action, the part of your brain that's generating symptoms actually says, oh, look, Simon or Helen or Sarah or Marilyn is listening, or Lynn is listening. So we don't need to keep sending those signals. Let's turn them down. All right. And you've probably had that experience where you had some discomfort in your body, maybe because of something someone said or did. You took action and you felt better for it. Okay. So if you're at this stage, your work's less about symptoms and more about building the life and doing it in a sustainable way. Okay. That's a different kind of courage. So Dorothy says, I'm in 4. Since I started regulation 2 years ago, it's been amazing, but it's still a work in progress. And when my sensations return, I have to work hard to tell my brain to keep calm. Brilliant, amazing. Let me know if that's okay, just to share that on the screen. Lynn, love that. Well done for the work you've done. It does take work, all right? But what I want you to consider is the following few points, okay? So number 1, this isn't linear, okay? You can fluctuate, as I said earlier, even over the course of the day. For example, there were times when I'd wake up in the morning feeling like I was in phase 1. And by the evening, I'd be in phase 2 or 3. But then I'd get complacent, push myself too much, and stress about the fact that I pushed myself, and I'd end up back in phase 1 the next morning. And I repeated that pattern over and over and over. Okay, so that's the first point. Second point, setbacks are state shifts, not failure. Okay, so we might experience an increase in symptoms. That's just an opportunity to learn something, to dig a little deeper and consider, what can I learn here? All right. So we're approaching, rather than approaching with self-criticism and judgment, we're responding with curiosity, compassion. Okay. And we can allow your nervous system, you can allow your nervous system to lead the pace. Okay. Your nervous system is incredible. It's very fine tuned. Your nervous system knows when something doesn't feel good, when something does feel good. And sometimes it knows that before your conscious mind does. So Lynn says, yes, it's really helpful to remember there will be dips. The hardest work is done in the setbacks. Yeah, to be honest. Yeah, absolutely. That is where we have the greatest capacity to learn and grow. Okay. And you know, what's really interesting is some people, they stress when they're in the dip. They stress when they've got energy because they're saying, oh, it's not going to last. Okay. The battle with fear is still always there. Okay. What I would say, Lynn, is you can learn to lessen that fear. Okay. I was an anxious person from a child. Okay. And when I started learning all this stuff, I realized, oh my God, I'm pretty neurotic. I've got a lot of work to do. I'm very much less neurotic and much more calm and relaxed than I used to be. Okay. So we can make that shift. And I talk about how to do that in the See It method. So that's free training. There's no cost for that. So if you want that, as I comment C in the chat, and also do check out the links below this video. I will put it below this video as soon as I've finished, as well as the boom and bust video. So recovery from ME/CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID, POTS is rarely a straight line. Okay, my hope is that this 4-phase model gives you a kind of clearer understanding of what's happening in your system. If you found your phase today, let me know in the chat or comments whether you're phase 1, 2, 3 or 4. Just put a number in the chat. Lynn's already said she's phase 4, and she did that by doing lots of nervous system regulation. So well done, Lynn. This simple act of learning, naming where you are, is a powerful step towards working with your body, not against it. If you'd like more help choosing the appropriate strategies for your current phase, twice a month I host the resilience group coaching calls. There's one next week. Again, I'll put the link below. I think I've actually already put the link below this chat. So if you want to join, there's no charge. It's my way of giving you a safe space, giving something back. There's no charge, no strings. Okay. So if you want to experience my approach more directly, that's your next step. Dorothy Lynn says, thank you. You are very welcome. Thanks everybody for joining me. Love to know what your takeaway from this session is. So do leave a comment in the chat. Just to say also, a lot of people watch my videos, but they don't actually subscribe. If you subscribe, it does help other people see the video, helps my channel grow. Massively appreciative. So do subscribe and hit the notifications button. You will be notified when I release a new video. I generally do a live every Thursday. You're most welcome to join me. Thanks for coming today. Sarah says phase 1 today. So thanks for letting me know. Let's pause there. Keep up the great work. If you've got any questions, if you have got a topic you'd like me to do a video on, let me know. Otherwise, keep going. You've got this. Wishing you great health. Dare to dream big dreams and dare to take steps, no matter how small. Thanks all. Bye for now.